This video is brought to you by CatBeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
The Utah Jazz and Oklahoma City Thunder hooked up for a Game 5 that started out being memorable for what appeared to be a surrender and collapse, then morphed into one of the all-time great playoff comebacks the NBA has ever seen. This game was defined by a few key runs, and the first happened midway through the first as Utah took control. As you may remember from our last video on this series, the Jazz had been utilizing their horn set to great effect in the half court, and they run it here. Notice how it appears Ingles wants to set a ball screen, Russ stops to contain the ball handler, but Ingles slips off the Gobert flare screen. This sucks Adam up to contest a possible three, opening the dive to Gobert. Good rotation by Grant, bad one by Eustace, who's supposed to be covering the corner. While Crowder was shooting 21% from three till this point, even a struggling shooter can make one that wide open. This time, they run their basic motion set. Brewer denies the swing pass, so they flow into pistol action to Ingles. Great run and catch by O'Neal gets him right into the lane. Watch the over pursuit by Russ. He's at least 2 steps too close to the ball on his rotation, as it needs to be him closing out back to the corner. And they give another open look to Crowder, who is now feeling comfortable. Meanwhile, on the other end, they run a simple high pick and roll, and you'll have to tell me in the comments where you think Russ was throwing this pass, because I can't figure it out, and it turns into a pick six, to a player who was already feeling it. There is a distinct difference in the way these two teams run their offense, with the Thunder turning to another simple step-up screen for Russ after no passes, and his first half shooting woes were on full display. More horns twist as Gobert sets the pick and dives. Donovan crosses over and uses the screen back to the left. The Thunder continue to double team the ball handler in the pick and roll, forcing closeouts and allowing the Jazz to space and find open shots from the corner. They run horns with Ingles flaring again, and Abrines defends it very well. They're forced to extend way out past the three-point line. The handoff gets some movement again, and another great attack on the catch by Crowder immediately sucks in Abrines. With Melo already moving down, he didn't need to come over that far. And he also took too long to recover to his man, and that's another wide open corner three for Ingles. And since they give up so many open shots to Crowder, he's officially feeling it. Check the gorgeous jab step out of the split, crossover dribble, then drop into the open three for a 9-point lead. Here's where the game really dropped off a cliff for the Thunder, where the Jazz went on a 15-5 run to open up a 25 lead to start the third. This looks a little bit like horns, as Gobert cuts to screen the corner while Favors hands back to Rubio. This turns into a double pin down for Mitchell, but fantastically defended by Paul George, forcing him into a catch 45 feet from the hoop. But the Jazz know what they want, a pick and roll with Melo's man. Melo foolishly reaches in, Mitchell gets a step, and even though Melo makes a nice recovery, check the ridiculous off-balance, off-foot, lefty scoop hook swish right into the hoop. Wow. The Thunder come down and get Russ in the wing for an attack off the catch. This looked great until the end, where he screws up his footwork and just wildly burps up this shot. After a stop, Russ again comes down way too fast and out of control, gets stuck up in the air, and drops the pass right to the Jazz. Notice how he doesn't get up and run back hard, and the Jazz come down quick, skip the pass, and find Rubio with a wide open three just as Russ comes back in the picture. With this game on the verge of getting out of hand, they run a double ball screen which turns into a one-on-one between Russ and Gobert. I wouldn't have minded so much if Russ actually displayed a good solid move, but instead it's an off-foot, left hand, full speed, low jump finger roll, and Rudy easily turns it back. The Jazz hustle down court again, and this time, Corey Brewer needs to see that it's Donovan Mitchell he needs to pick up. Paul George tries to cover for him, but it's too late, and the lead is over 20. The Jazz continue to blow their horns, this time with 2 double ball screens, which suck Adams and Russ into another double team. Gobert rolls, Favors dives, and they have no choice but to foul. Cruising with a 21-point lead, this foul didn't seem like a big deal at first. But it was Gobert's 4th, and he did get him on the arm, so Quinn Snyder does a smart thing and takes him out. This set might start to look familiar to you all, and they run it as a wedge for Rubio. Russ again chases the ball when he really should just stay at home on Crowder. Paul George doesn't want to leave Mitchell in the corner. so Crowder drops another wide open three on them. Remember, if you give a struggling shooter some wide open looks and he gets comfortable, suddenly he gets irrational. So this handoff to Crowder catches Melo asleep for half a step and he just buries it. This possession should have been yet another in a series of easy shots as they run a handoff to Mitchell and dive Favors. Melo has to protect the basket and stop Favors, but instead thinks it's a skip pass. While this is not supposed to be Russ's help, he gets a finger on it, but that really shouldn't have affected the play that much, and the Jazz walk away empty. And now we come to the point of the game where the crowd had given up. The Thunder players didn't seem to like each other, everyone in the building was frustrated and prepared for the offseason. But then, something unexpected happened. Westbrook had been shooting 21% from 3 for the series on low volume. And when this possession seemed to die on the left side, no one expected this dribble step 3 to go down. And yet, it switched right through the net. And people in the audience raised an eyebrow in curiosity. Feeling a little bit emboldened, Russ brought the ball down again, waited patiently for Adams to set the drag screen, and you can't blame Ingles for going underneath. I'm sure the Jazz were happy to see this shot taken until the point where it goes down through the rim. The Thunder picked up their intensity a bit, but the Jazz offense got messy on their own. Favors just about throws this flare pass out of bounds. They do get organized, create an opening, good movement, but good hustle by Grant to sprint to the corner to contest in the air. Remember, without Gobert in there, the Jazz defense is really not good. Without him, their defensive rating is almost 20 points worse in this series. Favors is in bad position to start. He needed to be another step to his left. Paul George takes complete advantage, extends his left step to get the contact, and finishes for an and one, and now the crowd has some life to it. Still feeling it from the last 2 3-pointers, the Thunder just run a simple high pick and roll, and Russ does what he does best, hop into an off-the-dribble mid-range for another bucket. Remember all that horns movement the Jazz have been getting in their offense? Well, now it's their turn to do a Thunder impression. The ball never gets below the free throw line, they're just passing it back and forth, no one looks at the hoop, and they do get a mismatch ISO, but the clock is running down, and Mitchell does not get a good shot. On the way back down court, there is confusion. Mitchell had been guarding Russ, but for some reason, he moves over to cover Brewer. Russ senses the opening like blood in the water and blows by him for the tough lefty layup. To stem the tide, Snyder put Gobert and his 4 fouls back in the game. Knowing he's in foul trouble, Paul George cautiously approaches him, then executes a spin move with a sneaky veteran trick to use the right elbow to knock him back. It's quick enough the refs don't see it, Gobert doesn't want to risk the foul, so PG gets the layup. Good defense here by George to take away the zipper cut by Mitchell, and Adams does nicely to cover when Mitchell flare cuts to the corner. Watch how alert George is to get Adams back on Gobert, then to help down on the baseline drive and deflect it to Adams for the steal. Russ takes off down court as fast as he can and gets a foul call going hard to the basket. Now the crowd is abuzz. Double ball screen out of Horns gets thwarted by more great Paul George defense, but this flows into a pick and roll. They lure the double team, but good effort by Adams to get back and they can't attack. Rubio waits for Gobert to set the ball screen. Russ forces him to his weak hand. Another double of the ball handler allows Rudy to short roll to the dotted line. In the most awkward no travels of all time, he somehow flings it to the corner for a great shot. Even though it doesn't go in, Gobert gets the rebound, but then commits a double whammy. He hooks Abrinas, a turnover, and his 5th foul, forcing Snyder to take him out again, this time in the middle of a game that is getting tight. This game was a total seesaw affair for the next 9 minutes, with the Jazz clinging to life and the Thunder trying to out-talent them back into the lead. It had been 6 minutes since Russ's last bomb, and in this little weave action, Rubio clearly wants to go under and invite the shot. Russ accepts and hits another clean look. Why the Jazz decided to run the Thunder offense is beyond me, but they let Mitchell ISO Abrinas. There's no movement and it allows the defense to gang up on him, blocking the shot. This leads to the Thunder quickly attacking the middle of the lane. Mitchell is half a step too close as he's 1 pass away, but check the no-dip quick release. This is a very tough shot to make, but slightly easier since it's in the corner. With a 3-point lead, the Thunder spread the floor and just run pick and roll. The Utah game plan is to invite the Russ mid-range shot, but you've got to be closer and get a hand up. If Gobert had just put his hand up over his head, he would have at least obscured the vision Russ had of the rim. Instead, they're up and they're out, and Russ drops it clean through the net. Down 5 and desperate for any kind of score, the Jazz patiently look for an opening to attack a closeout. They get the advantage when both Melo and Adams go to the ball, leaving Gobert wide open under the hoop. But this made me scream in French, "Mon Dieu! What are you doing, Rudy? This has to be a strong dunk attempt." While this shot was relatively open, it doesn't go in. Russ then calmly brings it down. Same play they've been running, but on the other side of the floor. And there's no reason for Rudy to give this much space, but more importantly, at least get a hand up. Russ banks this in softly for a 7-point lead, and the Thunder are never seriously threatened the rest of this game. The loss by the Jazz invokes thoughts of the Spurs losing to the Heat in Game 6 of the Finals, and the very real fear that the psychological impact of losing a closeout game can have on the team in the next game. Quinn Snyder will need to get them focusing on all the positives that transpired for well over half the game. On the flip side, the Thunder survived and turned a dire situation into a chance to live another day. Many of the issues this team has have not gone away, and I suspect they'll need another heroic effort to go into the hostile environment of Utah and take Game 6. This is a war of wills, a test of testosterone, and only time will tell who will win.
What are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!